This is Chicken Ball. Come at us, bro.
Welcome back to the Chicken Ball podcast. I'm your host, Andrew. This week, we're going to be covering a lot of ground, starting, no doubt, with the West Ham collapse. Mort, what have you been drinking to drown your sorrows?
Anything that has alcohol content higher than one of Ryan's, like spritzers or whatever the fuck he drinks in Portugal. Anything that's strong is what I've been drinking.
Welcome back. Ryan, pivoting straight to you. How you doing?
Good. I'm actually drinking strawberry sparkling water right now. So Mort's right on cue with that.
I'm certainly not going to be editing that out. Not that we edit anything. Scott, wearing a shirt today. What gives?
It's winter, man. So I got my winter attire on. That's what it is, man. My rain hat and a little bit of fabric to keep me warm up here in the Northwest. But
yeah, winter is certainly coming. All right, guys. International break finished last week. Everybody's super excited for the West Ham match, knowing that West Ham obviously considers this a rivalry where we don't so much. Clearly, ripped right out of the gate with 3 straight goals in 16 minutes. We all know how the game ended. Mort, I'm going to start with you. Just what's your general reaction to that?
Frustration, a sense of history, a sense of memory to this. It didn't. I think it's sad that it was disappointing, not surprising, which I think speaks to one of the substantial gaps this wonderful squad since has left, which is confidence and just putting matches away, just knowing the importance of playing the full 90 and not just the first 16. And it's just, I don't know, man, it was really depressing. It very much felt like a loss, as it should have for all of our fans. I'm not going to criticize any one player. I'm going to leave that to you, Andrew. But I think ultimately for me, it's a mentality thing. It's been a problem of ours for a while. I do believe Jose is going to fix it. We've seen great results. Again, we've only had 1 loss all season in the Premier League. We've only had 1 loss across all comps, I think. So I'm not going to sound the alarm bells. I'm disappointed. It was sad. I mean, I was at the pub with some friends. Our home bar here in Milwaukee opened up. They have great social distancing there. So it was one of those things where we're all like sitting at separate tables but feeling the same emotion. And I guarantee you, for all the 4 people watching this pod, across the world, I bet you we all kind of felt the same way. Didn't matter where you were, didn't matter what you were doing or how long you've been a fan. You watched that happen. You're like, oh, fuck, not again. So, and you know what? And fuck Lanzini. I shit you not. When Snodgrass and Lanzini came on, a friend of mine was there. I was telling her, one of these motherfuckers is going to screw us. I guarantee you we get fucked by one of these guys. And sure as shit, it's always one of those 2 motherfuckers. I have no idea what it is about those 2 assholes, but every fucking time they play us, they find a way to ruin my day. So there, that's my.
Wasn't it Lanzini that scored a couple of years ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
kind of ended our title contention. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Ryan, I know you had to catch up on the game. You had plans over the weekend. So I think you actually genuinely got to see literally 2 halves of football very separately. So looking at that first half, 3-0, obviously the box score was phenomenal. Kane's phenomenal. We can talk an entire show about that. Son is in incredible form. And Ndombele looked great. Højbjerg looked great. But was the same reaction for you that I had? I know the box score was phenomenal in the first half. I didn't think that we were that good outside of how clinical we were on offense. What was your thought on the first half before we even get into the terrible second half?
I think you just summed it up in pretty much one word. I think we were just really clinical with our chances. We put them away. And I think West Ham, they still had 1 or 2 quality chances. I think Antonio had one. I think it was off a corner, and then even Cresswell's free kick that was pretty close, and it was a needless foul again. Seems like we struggle in that area of the pitch for some reason. It's been evident.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, which again we could have an entire show about that area of the pitch. So
yeah,
that first half, West Ham had 4 corners, we had 0, and so to me, what creates corners? It's putting balls into the box, it's having pressure. So despite that, West Ham didn't come that close in the first. They were close enough, right? There were warning signs there. And again, like we look at our center backs who really seem to have a tough time with big physical players, but also just generally clearing the ball out of our box. I mean, any thoughts on that?
I think the first minute sums up pretty much the match perfectly. I think Sanchez loses the ball like 10 seconds in.
25,
And,
I counted.
And then, we hit them right on the counter. Kane dropped so deep and, just, put a great ball over the top of the sun and fantastic finish. So I think literally the first minute of the game pretty much sums up the rest of the 89 minutes. Is we were clinical with our chances the first half. You could obviously say, like you were just saying, Andrew, there was some nervousness along the back line, typically with Sanchez. And even Alderweireld, he's starting to worry me a little bit because I did catch a little bit of the England-Belgium match, and he was not good. I mean, Dyer wasn't that great either, but I feel like Dyer had a better second half. But yeah, he's starting to worry me. So, then you start to talk about two center backs you can't really trust in this moment. It's tough, especially with Dyer being out. So, maybe Rodon gets a chance going forward in some of these cup matches and maybe even a league match. We throw him in there, but depending on Dyer and Tanganga's fitness.
Well,
yeah,
it's
it's
an interesting
definitely
point,
not
Ryan, just because Alderweireld, a couple of seasons ago, $25 million buyout. And I'm sitting here being like, how is nobody triggering this? $5 million for, he wasn't as good as he had been, say, in seasons past, but now I'm starting to kind of wonder. Now, if you watch him critically, and I, might be guilty of kind of passing a blind eye to him because he has lost a step. That's pretty clear. It happened instantly with Vertonghen. And now Alderweireld's doing the same thing. And so Scott, I want to bring you in here. Obviously, my feelings on Davinson Sanchez. 15 seconds into the United game, gives away a penalty. 25 seconds and kicks the ball to nobody under no pressure. This guy is supposed to be the future, but he constantly makes mistakes. And clearly, the further back you get in your own half, depending on what position you play, the mistakes are that much more critical. If you're a goalkeeper who can't make a catch, you can't catch the ball, you're not going to last very long. And you have to ask the question to Sanchez, like, how much longer can this go on with a guy who always has a mistake in him? And it seems to always happen early in a match.
It's tough, man. I think he definitely has a lot of mistakes in him. I know these are conversations we've already had, off the air, around the idea that he did play really well in his first two seasons. Granted, he was alongside of Vertonghen and Toby, who were absolutely at the prime of their careers, right? And that's not an idea that's new by any means. We're all talking about that all over the Tottenham world. But I also look at the fact that our best performances this year have been Dyer and Toby at the back. So I don't know, man. I think it has a lot to do with who's alongside him. I think this, as to your guys' point a second ago, has something to do with the fact that Toby is shaky right now. And anytime you have two guys that are shaky in a center back partnership, disasters are going to happen at some point, right? So I don't know. I'd be curious to see if he picks up his form alongside Dyer. Who knows when we're going to have a chance to even see that. But I can't disagree with you that he's making a handful of pertinent mistakes. Yeah, he's got work to do. And like Ryan said, we've got guys like Rodon coming through who I don't know anything about him, but seems to be highly regarded as just a sound, solid center back who can go in and just do his job. And maybe that's really all we need right now. And then a Japa Tanganga, who I'd love to see absorb a ton of these minutes whenever he's ready to do that,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And for sure, like, it's not fair to only single out Sanchez because Sanchez was not at fault for 3 goals. But, my concern with Sanchez is, outside of that really great rookie season, then, a good season playing beside Vertonghen the following year, he just, to me, lacks so many basic skills. Like, it's hard for me to call him a professional footballer when he's so uncomfortable with the football. He wants to make short, easy passes. I get that, but he's so panicked. And, it goes back to when Mourinho targeted him in the Europa League final, knowing that, he's so uncomfortable with the ball. And, this is a bigger question, Scott, but, if I think a lot of us agree, this looks kind of like a Leicester season where there is no unanimous favorite to win the league. Down their two best defensive players, defense and goal. City don't look like City. Like, there's ridiculous score lines happening right now. But, like, you look at when Leicester won the title, they weren't allowing stupid ass goals every single game, right?
Yeah.
I can't even remember who your defenders were now. I would know it if I heard the names, but they were just sound and solid. And you bring up. I was just going to say really quickly with Rodin, it's too easy to say just throw him in. He came from the championship, right? Like it's a knee-jerk reaction to say throw him in. Yeah. I have seen bits and pieces of him for Wales and for Swansea. And so what I do like about him over Sanchez is he anticipates. Watch his highlight package, and you'll see him step in front of the guy that he's marking because he anticipates that pass. You never see that with Sanchez. You see him getting there a second too late and fouling, and that happened a lot in the game against West Ham.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you guys have heard me say I still firmly stand by this, that I do expect us to actually win the Premier League this year, but that's going to take some adjustments at the back. Okay, how can you guys act flabbergasted when we just talked about how it's a wide open season right now? Like, it is prime time for us to step in and win the league. But
no, it's wide open for fucking Everton to win, not for Tottenham.
That's fair. But
and Aston Villa,
we get the back cleaned up. We are on first half form in that game, best team in the league. Second half form, clearly not so much, right?
No. Yeah. Scoring 3 goals in the first 16 minutes does not make you the best team in the league. It simply means you scored 16 goals. We had 3 shots, we had 3 goals. That is not sustainable. That's a flash.
Here's what if you can go out and score 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of the game, if that's the type of team you are, if you defend well, you will win a shit ton of games. Like, it's that simple. So we just need to start defending.
You pretty much just said if we score a lot of goals and don't give any up, you're gonna win. No fucking shit. That's like,
yeah.
And so, that's not what's happening here. We have not had.
No, because
like,
look, what you just said.
We had 1 clean sheet.
All right, go ahead.
We had 1 clean sheet in the preseason, and we had 1 clean sheet when our League Cup game got canceled, right? So nobody could fucking score a goal on us because we weren't even on the goddamn pitch. So no. That's the problem, Scotty. It's the fact that scoring 3 goals in the first 16 minutes was exciting to watch as a fan. You cannot build a season on that because we had 3 shots, we had 3 goals, man. You cannot depend on that. That's not sustainable. You cannot do that over the course of an entire season. It's fun to watch it. It's nice to have that. The teams that win the leagues, to your point, the teams that win the leagues have that in their locker. The problem is we have a lot of other shit in our locker, and saying something as simple as shoring up the defense, that's not it. There's a lot more going on. We're still just a long ball team, man. Long ball don't necessarily win leagues, right?
Sure. Really quick, I'm not saying that you have to go out and score 5 or 6 goals a game, and we're going to continue to do that. It's very simple, and you're overthinking this. Our offense is firing and is proven to be very effective. Our defense is not. If we start defending well, we're going to win a lot of games. It puts us in the hat to win the Premier League. That's what I'm saying right now. But we have to get the back cleaned up. It's a problem. But also, sorry, Ryan, the last thing I'll say, our defending from open play has improved dramatically. Like, we're getting beat on set pieces and stupid little errors. Some of it from open play, but we've got to clean up the defending in certain parts of the game. But as a whole, dramatic improvement, right?
Ryan, you were going to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think today marks 11 months of, Mourinho being in charge. And I think I can count on 2 hands how many clean sheets we've had, which is kind of, it is concerning because you think about Mourinho and his background. And it's maybe he can't even fix this back line, it is concerning. But like you guys are saying too, I mean, it's wide open this year and it seems like everybody's conceding goals. I do think this match had a little bit of that international break, post international break legs. A lot of these guys doing a lot of traveling, and you just saw we just were flat from the get-go. As soon as the second half started, West Ham were all over us, probably the first 20 minutes of that second half.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our first corner, as Andrew was saying, I think our first corner came in the 61st minute. So yeah, like we were saying earlier, we were clinical with our chances, but there were some signs, and it was coming that we could let up a goal or two. I mean, this isn't the first time we did it. In literally Jose's first game last year, we were up 3-0, cruising, and like Mort's hitting that too. I think it's a little bit of mentality as well. You're up 3-0. I mean, I know you're at home. I know there's no there's no crowds or anything, but you got to close that out, and that's 6 points for us in a winning position.
Yeah.
Going into the final minutes of a match that
we could have been in second round, right? Like we could have been in second with like the best goal differential in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Easily.
If it wasn't for the last 8 minutes of the West Ham match. And I mean, that's the thing, man. I don't necessarily know if our players or even our managers look at it from that perspective, which they probably shouldn't, right? Like, you don't want a fucking manager on the sideline being like, hey, guys, we're in second with the best, like goal differential in the league. You obviously don't want them doing that. But I think somewhere there has to be a sense of awareness as to where you are and what you're trying to accomplish, right? And I think many times our players and even our managers lose sight of that. And we need to start emphasizing these things during the lead up to the match or at halftime to say, here's what's on the line for this match. Here's what you're going to give up if you don't close this out. Here is your risk. We have to be intelligent cunts. And I think we were just cunts, right? Like they were the intelligent cunts. They didn't give up. I shit you not. I was talking to my boy Jared, and as soon as that ball left Lanzini's foot, I turned away because I knew it was going in. Why did I know that? I shouldn't know that. I should not have that sense. But I did. And it went in. And that was fucking annoying. And I think there was a lot of other fans who probably felt the same way. But whatever, fuck it. I'm over it. It feels like a loss, even though it was a draw. It's still a draw. We still got points. We're in sixth. We're in striking distance of everything. We've got a good run in until the international break. We've got a great match coming up Thursday. I'm not gonna lose sleep on this one. I'm not. I'm gonna be annoyed, but I'm not gonna lose sleep on this one because we as fans have a tendency to do that. We get in this fucking rut, and we'll start talking about Sissoko, talking about Winks, talking about Sanchez, talking about, all right, fine, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters now is the next match. And I think that's why I really enjoy Jose, because that's what he does, right? That's what he said. He's like, yeah, this sucks, this sting, it hurts, but it can only hurt until the next match because you can't take this in. So whatever.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Because again, that's one thing I learned from him. Certainly watching All or Nothing was, I kind of assumed before, not knowing, that when something like this happened, he just screamed at the team, right? And he doesn't. That's not his style. My concern, though, and it kind of goes back to your point, Mort, in rebuttal to Scott about we just need to tighten up. But like, I don't see how we tighten up with some of these players. Like, to me, Sanchez is just not good. He's not good. Like, I've been kind of wrestling with this for a couple of weeks, thinking like, I don't want to be one of those people who just rips on our players all the time. But like, to me, like, he lacks such basic skills. Like when Tanganga comes on, when he's healthy, he makes mistakes out of rust or he makes mistakes out of experience, but he doesn't lack basic skills. I mean, is there anybody here who, okay, let's assume that Dyer, Toby, and Tanganga are all healthy. Is there anybody who thinks that Davinson Sanchez should be starting the next meaningful match?
They're in a rotation.
Yeah.
Right? This is the best squad I've seen ever. And that means that you rotate players. And you're right. No, I would not. If I'm in a must-win match, you are right. I don't want Davinson Sanchez. But, Andrew, we didn't have a choice, man.
I get that. But we've got one guy. Sorry, I shouldn't say one guy because that contradicts my point earlier of blaming him. But we have one guy consistently game in, game out, making these mistakes, and he's not improving. And you look at our coach. We've got Jose Mourinho. We've got Ledley fucking King, arguably one of the best Premier League defenders ever if he hadn't have had his career shortened. I mean, that guy doesn't have a magic wand. He can't make Davinson Sanchez learn how to dribble a soccer ball.
Well, honestly,
man, you are big mad, man. This is the most heated I've ever seen you, Andrew. Like, well, no, okay. The only time I've seen you more heated,
one thing after the other.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen you more heated is when you and I got in a fight, and like you were gonna fly from Canada to Milwaukee to whoop my ass. That's the only time I've seen you more heated. No, but I mean, listen, I am not gonna sit here and judge you, bro. Like, feel this way, like, express your rage. You have every right to, especially with being a fan for as long as you have. All the shit you keep seeing, I get it. I'm not judging you in any way. It just sucks that we have to have this conversation again. That's it. Like,
and I think part of why it feels so prevalent is we did just make so many major improvements to the squad, not so much a center back position. And again, like, I said this under Poch, when we miss out on signings, and I'd say, well, I assume the manager just doesn't want that, and I think we're seeing some of that to be true. At the same time, I don't know if I actually agreed with what I was thinking. It was just my observation. Whereas in this moment, I'm a little bit more comfortable saying, like, if Jose felt he was okay there, like, I'm okay starting to buy into that idea, right? I definitely wanted us to improve and upgrade, and who knows if we've done that with Rodon. I really have no clue, but I want to have some faith that Jose has a plan there. I mean, we saw Dyer shift to center back, and at first I think we were all kind of like, what the fuck's going on? Is this a good move? Clearly it was. Like, Jose is really invested in turning him into his staple center back, I think. And so I think we have to give him, you have to say this relatively and carefully, but we have to give him some time to continue to work with Sanchez, I think. And the whole Toby thing, who knows? He's probably just in a rut and he'll be back. Players go through dips in form, but I want to give Jose a little more time to see if he can get Sanchez to do what he needs him to do. And I think with a guy like Sanchez, right, he comes from a school of thought and a brand of football until he was like 16, 17 years old. That's just like power and pace and just like manhandle dudes and put them on their ass, right? And that's still kind of important, but there is more of a technical approach to the game now for him. And I think the question is, does he have that to his game? Because, like, if you take a power and pace league, he's going to be one of the best defenders in that league without a doubt, but the technical ability, to your credit, Andrew, is totally, totally missing right now.
Well, I think,
Go ahead, Ryan.
and just since we're speaking about the center backs, I think it was always a sign when we were in for Skriniar and when we were in for Ruben Diaz. Those are like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because those players aren't coming in to rotate; they're coming in to start. We're not spending 50 million, close to 50, 60 million on a center back for them to rotate. It just was not happening. But unfortunately, we couldn't get those deals over the line. But I think that was a sign right there that there wasn't much confidence in what we had at that moment,
Sure.
especially as a right-sided center back. Seems like Dyer. I know Jose. It's tough to if you look at Project Restart and now he's been chopping and changing it. But I think one thing is pretty consistent is Dyer's got that left center back position on lock as long as he's not suspended or injured.
Yep.
I think with Sanchez, like Andrew was saying earlier, I think when he first stepped into the team, he was here. Like, his performances were here. He was probably one of the best defenders. I mean, barred, obviously Toby until he got hurt, and Vertonghen. He was immaculate for us. He was huge for us. He stepped up that year. I think the year after that, after the World Cup, he declined a bit. And then last year, he was dealing with a couple of injuries, declined a bit. But we're not really seeing progression with him. I know he's still young. He's 23, 24 years old. But it is worrying. We're not seeing any progression with him. And I understand as defenders, you need to play, you need playing time to work out those kinks. But it's, like Andrew's saying, it's pretty basic stuff with him. When he's not even under pressure, when he's under pressure, he's just making very, very insecure decisions, especially like, you have somebody turning away from goal and going away from goal and you're chopping at the heels. Why are you doing that? It's like, it's like, it doesn't matter who it is. It's a threat to him. And it's concerning. It's definitely concerning. So like I said, the signs were there this summer when we were in for, premier center back, even more so now. It just looks like, Jose and the rest of the staff kind of had those concerns as well. But, we're going to have to see it because it doesn't look like Dyer and Tinginga would be fit for Thursday, and possibly throwing them in doubt for Monday too. So looks like Toby and Sanchez is probably going to be our pairing for the next week.
Yeah.
It's to Mort's point that we didn't have a choice, right? Like, there was literally nobody else to throw in, and we are going to have to rotate. It's the same thing as we don't want Kane playing 90 minutes every match because what's going to happen. And, we can't expect to have, replaced the entire team in one window. It's a phenomenal window. We keep talking about expectations and we want more. We see a Premier League title that is there for the taking. And now we think, well, if we had just got that one more deal over the line, and again, that's obviously speculation. Right? Like, you never know how a Skriniar or a Diaz is going to adapt to the Premier League, but we see it, and we knew it was a weakness. but we didn't also expect to be challenging for the title. We're like, okay, this will get us back in top 4. That's what we need, but it is what it is. And it's what I said before the West Ham game. If we can stay close to the title race and bring somebody in January, then maybe there's a chance. But again, that's speculation, right? And I mean, again, bringing a guy in, unless you're bringing in another Premier League defender, which is going to cost an arm and a leg, it's just not going to happen. Changing gears slightly, we have not one but 2 audience questions this week, taking our total up 100% and our fan follow. This one comes from the real Shubin. I'm going to go to you, Scott, on this one. So Shubin says, we're noticing we're moving away from a back 3, and Toby and Davinson neither like playing left center back. He's not saying that Rodon is the answer, but with Jan dropping off last week, and it appears that Toby is doing the same, what's the best formation at the back?
I mean, I don't think you can say a back 3 because we don't have enough center backs to form a back 3. And I think that's kind of what Shubhan's getting at when he asked me that question. So maybe that's why I jumped to that. Maybe if Davies is in the mix, but we need him to rotate at left back for sure. I still think a back 4, but I think we need to continue to find out what that pairing can be. And I think as Tanganga and Rodon, as Tanganga comes back from injury and Rodon starts to settle, like we just need somebody to start competing for Toby and Sanchez's minutes and just, for lack of a better term, to scare him a little bit and get him moving. We saw it effective with Aurier, right? That's a very common thing in football. We're not cornered by Tottenham, but we need that to start happening. So definitely still a back 4, in my opinion. I also think we're seeing the midfield continue to settle and become more effective. I think the Højbjerg-Sissoko partnership has looked pretty good. Lo Celso's coming back from injury. I think, the big piece there is Højbjerg, and as he continues to settle, I think that'll help shore up what's happening at the back as well. But it's a back 4 for me.
Yeah, and I think, Scotty, though, it's not – nobody has a challenge for Toby and Sanchez's minutes. They have a challenge for Toby and Dyer's minutes, right? Our Toby and Dyer are our 1 and 2 right now.
No, I'm saying Dyer's minutes aren't going to be challenged. I'm saying somebody needs to challenge those 2 for that second spot in the order is what I meant by that. But,
well, no, I mean, we can say what we want about Toby, but Toby's still our first choice center back, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he might be off, he might be a little bit rusty. And I mean, even to your point, Ryan, like in the international break, he had 1 poor match, but in the next one he had an assist. So, he's still a quality center back. And I think for better or worse, at this moment in time, all things included, he probably is our best center back. But I mean, Shubes brings up a good point. I mean, the most success this team's ever had has been playing with that back 3 and even that hybrid back 3 where Dyer's spinning the center backs. What is to say that Højbjerg can't do that, right? Like, sure. Why not? I mean, the way Ndombele has been playing, the way Sissoko has been playing in midfield, even the way Gio and Winks can play in midfield, what is to stop Jose from saying, you know what, fuck it, this isn't working. I'm going to go win this title. I'm going to do it by dropping Højbjerg between my 2 center backs, give them a bit more cover, and have Sissoko sit right in front of those guys and make sure nobody comes through, and then let Ndombele or Gio or whoever ends up being in that midfield drive forward. I mean, I think the options are there. And the thing is, we do have, like, when we were playing the back 3, who did we have? Right? We had Jan, Toby, and Dyer. Like, does anyone remember who our 4th choice center back was from that glorious season? I don't.
Kevin Wimmer.
Yeah, there you go. So
we need Wimmer back. That's what you're saying, Mort. That's exactly.
I mean, he was Sonny's best friend. Yeah, but so I think that I don't think we should take it off the table. Is all I'm saying. Also, fuck you. So there you
go. Well said. Scott, I'm going to ask you this because it actually pivots nicely into one of our topics here about obviously Gareth Bale's return. And we had a question from Spurs Last Minute saying, rather than just player mistakes, shouldn't Jose burden some of the blame for poor subs and tactics? And I want to bridge that with Gareth Bale's return. I mean, I personally think it's lazy to say, well, why'd you bring on Bale? Like, we are up 3. But do you think, with the Bale substitution, as well as the 2 others, more coming on, and who is the 3rd sub? It was Winks coming on. I mean, do you blame Jose for any of those 3 substitutions? Did any of those have a negative impact?
I mean, there's definitely arguments to be made that some of those subs had a negative impact, but I don't think that means I blame Jose for that. I mean, I think the decisions he made were actually pretty good decisions. It's on the players for not executing. bringing on Winks or Tongi for all intents and purpose, I think at the moment that shores up the midfield when you're up 3-0. And not that Tongi, it's not a negative on Tongi. Tongi's been one of the best fucking players on the team without a doubt, but Winks is a little bit more defensive minded, so that shores us up. And I think bringing Bale on, it was a perfect moment to introduce him. He's historically played really well against West Ham. He's fit. He's been with the squad. Fit is, I guess, subjective maybe, but fit enough. And he's been with the squad for a couple of weeks now at a moment where a lot of people were gone, and he was going to get some good attention from Jose as well. So I don't fault any of the subs. I think that it's 100% on the players for not executing. Again, you're all professional footballers at a top 6 Premier League side. Like, any of you should be able to see out a 3-0 lead. I don't even care if you're fucking like out of position, right? Just like go make sure they don't score 3 times. So yeah, Jose did fine.
So I agree for the most part, because again, I think you're absolutely right. Like, again, I've used all my credit ragging on players today, so I won't go into my opinions on Wings. And it'd be too easy just to say, like, there was one moment he should have ball, he didn't. We know what happened on that 3-3 goal, and you expect players to make the right decisions. Sanchez, same thing. Hitting the ball into his own goal, making the wrong decision. He was turned the wrong way. But you could blame Sissoko as well on the first goal. He didn't even get off the ground. But like, to your point, Scott, these are all individual mistakes that a coach can't tell you not to do those things, right? Like this. No, I did see Alistair Gold talk about, though, the Winks for Ndombele's substitution. And it wasn't necessarily criticizing Winks, but it was the fact that things really started to slip without Ndombele's control in midfield, which, if we're looking for positives, and there are plenty of positives, obviously, like, is the fact that he looks really goddamn good.
Yeah. Yeah. He looks amazing. I mean, he is proving, why we spent that amount of money on him. Also proving that he's got grit and mentality, because he fought back from a moment where everyone thought he was off on loan to some bullshit opportunity in in a lesser league. Maybe it's still a solid club, but a lesser league. And he's fought back and proven to Jose that he needs to be one of the first names on the sheet. So yeah, he's looked great. And I agree with Alistair. I mean, guy's a smart dude. It's hard not to agree with him. So of course, Tongi's going to give us some stability in the midfield and control the pace. But I think the idea was, we'll concede the pace of play to you and just plug up our midfield because we are up 3-0 against a team who actually also prefers to sit back and just find Antonio up top, right? So again, I don't think it was a poor decision at all, and just poor execution again. Like, I will say this too. I think part of what we saw, and maybe this is why I'm not so I'm really not worked up about this at all. I don't think this has long-term implications. I think it was our dud that I'd actually rather us get out of the way now as opposed to March or April, or something like that. And I think we can really learn from this, but I think some of this was just the Bale hoopla too. Like, we were coming off 6-1 against United. Every pundit is talking can Spurs win this title in a wide open season? All of a sudden we come back, we go up 3-0, and we bring Gareth Bale on, who's the most exciting signing in the club's history. So there was just so much hoopla. And I think the way, at 3-0, for instance, at the Wits End in Seattle, everyone was just are we going to bring Bale on? When's Bale coming on? It was just Bale, 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 Bale. And I think the players got caught up in that same shit, man. And I think that leads to switching off 3 separate times. I mean, you pointed out all these mistakes. Even Lucas and Reguilon got caught flat on their fucking feet on that second goal. Everybody at some point made a grave fucking error. And I think a lot of that was just the hoopla around what was happening.
Fair enough. Okay, so we've all gotten to the point where we're over it. We all agree that we're over the West Ham match. Okay, let's move on then. Mort, we're going to preview Linzer Athletic Sporting Club, otherwise known as LASK of the Austrian Premier League. What do you expect to see on Thursday in terms of a lineup or anywhere else you want to go with this?
It's funny because I didn't know what that acronym stood for until just now, and I already forgot it, which is how this match will be. Yeah, forgettable. I expect us to dominate. Although I will say that one of our Twitter followers was kind enough, and unfortunately I forget the handle, kind of gave a nice little preview of what to expect. So, LASK has been doing well, right? Yes, they're in the Austrian league, but they've won 6 of their last 9. They've won 4 of their last 5, and they beat Sporting Lisbon to get up here. Now, of course, we know that the Portuguese league is mostly trash and not as good as the MLS, but you still have to say Sporting Lisbon is a team we've all heard of, right? So I think their form is good. They'll be confident. I don't know if this is the well, was it Maccabi Haifa where the player was saying, Harry Kane on my dick or whatever. So I don't know if it's that kind of energy they're going to bring to this match, but they've got a young guy, Marco Raguz. He's 22 years old. The guy's 6'1", 176 pounds. He's a big dude and he's fast. So he's going to give us trouble. And he scored 5 goals in his last 5 games. So they have goals in him, or they have a goal in him at least. And most importantly, their manager's name is Dominic Thalhammer. Like, if that doesn't strike fear in the hearts of the opposition, I don't know if I can know what will. So I think it'll be a good match only in thought. I think in reality, we're going to come with a chip on our shoulder. You're going to see Gareth Bale start. We may even see Vinicius out there. Jose is going to want to win this match, and he's not going to allow us to lose this match. So expect Jose to put out a strong lineup. Expect us to come out and play hard and play strong. I will guarantee we will win this match because I just do not see Jose allowing us to slip. So it's going to be fun. And more importantly, guys, we're in the group stage of Europa, right? So, I mean, let's go, right? This is a trophy we want to win. It's a trophy we have to win if we really want to kind of get this monkey off our back as far as not being able to win anything meaningful. So this is the first step, right? So let's go handle it. I'm excited.
Ryan, a couple of obviously we're going to see some substitutions for the Thursday match. I mean, firstly, is Joe Hart a given in goal?
I don't think so. I think Jose will go pretty strong with this lineup. First match, I think he'll obviously rotate Kane out. Bale will probably get a start. Lucas will probably get a start. Vinicius will probably get a start. But not. I expect them to go with Lloris in net. I believe we play on Monday against Burnley, so we don't have the Thursday, Sunday.
Yep.
So I think he'll go strong first match, and then we'll see next week. I believe we have another Europa League match, and he'll heavily rotate for that match. So I expect Lloris to start, just because obviously if you don't have Kane on the pitch, you lose a little bit of that leadership, and especially Dyer not being on the pitch as well, and possibly Højbjerg. So you're talking about 3 guys that are pretty vocal. And they give you other qualities too in terms of leadership. So I don't think Lloris will be substituted for Hart in this specific match. So
you mentioned Vinicius. You mentioned, and you didn't necessarily say if we were starting it up, but you mentioned Vinicius, more Bale. Do you expect to see a front 3 then, as opposed to maybe a front 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's been kind of the norm, going forward here since we started this season. So, I think we'll be a little free flowing. He'll give freedom, obviously, to Bale, Vinicius, and Lucas. Maybe Lucas has a little bit more of a specific job. If Doherty's going to come in at right back, maybe asked to track back a bit. But I think maybe Lo Celso gets an introduction here. I think it was Dan Kilpatrick said something after the match, our recent match against West Ham, that Lo Celso was out on the pitch after the game, taking part in a mini match. So that's a good sign. So I think, maybe we get him to start, knock off some rust, and, start slowly introducing him to Premier League pace games. So I think, no better, match to do it at home. First game Europa, maybe not the best, competition, compared to the Premier League, but I think we definitely need to get Lo Celso up and going because, you're looking at October and the games are going to start coming thick and fast.
So one guy that we haven't mentioned the entire show and gets not a lot of press anymore, wasn't in the squad again on Sunday, is Dele Alli. Does he A, make the squad? Does he B, start the game?
Yeah, I think this is a perfect game too for him. I think, Winks probably comes into the team as well. And I think Dele kind of takes Ndombele's role as kind of that 8/10, that free-flowing player that's kind of getting in and around to the box. So I think, it's a good chance for Dele to definitely get reintroduced into the squad and, continue to perform, hopefully. Because obviously iron sharpens iron. So, if he starts to play well, then he's pushing other players as well. So that's all we can hope for. And I'm cheering for Dele. I think he's kind of going through a difficult patch. I think Mourinho's tried. I think everybody's seen the documentary to this point. Mourinho's tried. The arm over the shoulder, try the tough love, and it's kind of gotten to this point where he's been frozen out of certain squads. Hopefully, it wakes him up, and hopefully, he pushes forward.
Yeah, I honestly think Delhi at this point has just kind of been relegated to our B squad. So that's the message to him. You know, you're in our second 11 until you prove to Jose that you should be in our first 11. And at this point, I actually think that's kind of a long ways off. But you know, I have been critical of Delhi. I still have some major problems with some choices that he's made. But I hope he gets back to where he wants to be, is all that I'll say.
Well, guys, this show's gone on a lot longer than this show really ever should. We've been getting
No
close
doubt.
to the hour mark.
Sorry, guys.
Who's watching? Like, we all know that we don't watch this, so I don't really know who else does. But you know, more starting with you. Any kind of closing thoughts as we head into the match, followed by a match against Burnley next Monday?
Yeah, man, stay the course. You know, stay the course. A lot of great things happening at the club. I think there's the European Super League. I know we're going to talk about that. There's a lot of things happening outside and off the pitch right now that our players are probably going to be thinking about, fans are going to be thinking about. But I think ultimately we only lost one match this year, right? So that's a good season. The pieces are there. So that's why I'm excited. I'm annoyed by West Ham, but I'm not worried about it. I'm excited to go beat LASK 4-1. It's going to be exciting. So parting thoughts are stay the course, man. Stay positive. There was a lot of excitement coming into the West Ham match. Let's not lose that because we will be able to regain that excitement. We've got a great set of matches coming up before international break, and we can still lay the marker before the international break, before we go into that stretch of hell. So stay the course.
But yes, the European Premier League was something we were going to talk about, but I'm a bad host, so I just didn't get around to doing that. So we're just over it. Maybe we'll talk about it another time. Maybe not. Scott, closing thoughts. Give us some wisdom.
Man, just like I said, we're winning the league, so that's all I have to say, man. I'm going to continue to say that after every episode until it's done. So yeah, come on, you Spurs.
But Ryan, you brought a pretty level-headed voice to the pod today. But any other tidbits you can share with us heading into a Europa League match?
No, we go again. So I think that's the positive that, after a result like Sunday, we don't have to wait a full week or anything like that. We get a midweek game, and we'll see the mentality. We'll see, the players get up for it. And yeah, I'm excited to watch them on Thursday and see a little bit of a rotated squad for sure.
Right on. Okay, guys. Well, I think we've raised the bar from bad to mediocre on
I'm glad, man.
Two comments. So,
baby steps, man.
In closing, all I can say, Bennett, you left us. So anytime you want to come on, defend Davinson Sanchez with your XG and your any day, I'm ready for it. But for Mort, for Scott, for Ryan, for all of Spurs land, for the chicken ball, I'm your host, Andrew. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.